Nagaland NNPGs and other faction analysis. Press release reviewed. Declaration issued by the Office of the Working Committee, Naga National Political Groups NNPGs, dated 7 December 2025. The latest press release from the Working Committee of the Naga National Political Groups NNPGs, dated 7 December 2025, marks a quiet but significant shift in the internal power alignment of Naga political actors. Although the tone of the document is formal and procedural, the implications stretch far beyond the simple recognition of a new entity or the amicable parting of leaders. For anyone who has followed recent Naga political maneuvers, inter-factional disagreements, and the shifting nature of ceasefire ground rules, CFGR, the press release reveals not only an internal recalibration, but also hints at emerging strategies that may reshape dynamics in Nagaland, Manipur's Naga-inhabited districts, and even parts of Arunachal Pradesh where Naga groups maintain influence. The document establishes 4 major decisions: the acceptance of a proposal for NSCN-R and the group led by Ato Kilonser K to part ways, recognition of GPRN K as the 10th entity within NNPGs, reaffirmation that both sides shall adhere to the Working Committee principles, and a commitment by the leaders to coordinate and cooperate on matters affecting the collective interests of the NNPGs. In simple form, these points sound administrative, but read in context of recent weeks, especially the quiet tensions surrounding overlapping territorial claims, allegations of parallel taxation, internal demands for restructuring, and responses to Indian security agencies, the declaration becomes a subtle roadmap for what may unfold over the next months. What makes this press release unusual is the timing. It lands at a moment when the NNPGs have been under increasing scrutiny from national agencies for internal discipline issues, while simultaneously facing pressure due to the stagnation of peace negotiations with the Government of India. The talks, though not collapsed, have entered a phase where both sides are unwilling to concede new ground. Parallel to this, the factional environment within Nagaland has shown signs of refragmentation following months of disputes concerning resource control, authority over district-level command structures, and the legitimacy of new leaders emerging from mid-level ranks within several factions. Against this backdrop, this declaration becomes a strategic reset, a way to consolidate internal stability at a time when external negotiations have paused. One of the understated but crucial elements is the formal recognition of GPRN K as the 10th entity within the fold. This move follows weeks of internal debates, as reflected informally in regional political circles and civil society forums, over who would be allowed into the broader structure of NNPGs at a time when consolidation, not expansion, was previously expected. Why then include another entity? The answer lies in the NNPGs' need to maintain internal relevance, with other Naga factions outside NNPGs attempting to reassert influence and local youth expressing frustration over both NSCN-R slow negotiation path and NNPGs perceived stagnation. Adding another entity strengthens numerical legitimacy. It signals that the NNPGs remain the political umbrella under which multiple Naga voices can be represented, and that the Working Committee is open to restructuring to keep itself significant. Another central element of the declaration is the amicable parting between NSCN-R Akato-led and Ato Kilonser K. Such separations are rarely truly amicable in the background, but the Working Committee's effort to frame it in positive terms suggests an intent to prevent media speculation and avoid triggering anxiety among Naga civil society. The usage of amicably part ways is particularly interesting, because in the last 2 months several Meitei and Kuki platforms in Manipur have highlighted intra-Naga tensions as proof of weakening insurgent networks. Therefore, both groups have a shared interest in managing the narrative. A public declaration of mutual respect avoids conflict escalation and keeps Indian security forces from gaining justification to tighten monitoring on either faction. Furthermore, the insistence that both factions adhere to Working Committee principles and refrain from activities detrimental to NNPGs suggests lingering mistrust, an indication that recent disputes had involved concerns about unsanctioned activities, taxation overlaps, or engagements with political brokers outside the NNPG framework. The declaration subtly implies the Working Committee is reimposing discipline, reminding its constituents that public disagreements could damage collective bargaining strength, especially during a sensitive phase in peace negotiations. Looking deeper, this document also reveals the Working Committee's increasing desire to centralize decision-making. The last 2 years have witnessed multiple attempts to reduce the operational autonomy of NNPG affiliates. The latest press release strengthens this trend by making 2 of the newly recognized leaders publicly commit to cooperate and coordinate with all other office holders. This is not merely administrative, it is a political signal that the Working Committee is preparing for more unified actions in upcoming months. The intention might be to position itself to respond collectively to upcoming actions by the Indian Home Ministry, which is expected to roll out new guidelines concerning illegal taxation and extortion in northeastern states under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act monitoring framework. One of the most immediate implications of this declaration relates to the shifting alliances and localized power balances across Naga districts. Since November 2025, there have been increasing community-level complaints across Tuensang, Dimapur outskirts, and parts of Zunhiboto regarding multiple groups collecting taxes under different names. Local business forums have issued statements demanding that both NNPGs and NSCN-R streamline their economic channels, as it becomes untenable for businesses to sustain multiple obligations. The latest declaration, especially its emphasis on coordination and non-detrimental activities, appears aligned with these concerns. If the Working Committee is successful in getting its 10th entity to follow stricter discipline, this could ease some tension at ground level. However, this relies heavily on enforcement, something that has historically been difficult. In parallel, there have been emerging signals from the Government of India indicating renewed interest in pushing forward a partial settlement with Naga groups ahead of early 2026 legislative activities. In such a scenario, the Indian state will prefer dealing with a clearly organized, internally stable negotiating partner, rather than one embroiled in factional strains. The press release seems strategically timed to present an image of clarity and unity before any renewed political engagement begins. It quietly attempts to close a chapter of internal confusion at a time when all sides may soon return to the negotiation table. But the internal unity message also carries another motive: counter-positioning against competing insurgent ideologies. In recent weeks, a rising number of statements from NSCN-R have indicated its intention to reaffirm earlier political positions related to a separate flag and constitution. Meanwhile, the NNPGs, known for championing a more pragmatic approach to settlement, are aware that public sentiment, especially among younger Nagas, is shifting. Many youths express fatigue from decades of negotiations without visible societal improvement. The Working Committee therefore seeks to present itself as the more adaptable, technology-aware and grassroots-sensitive coalition, contrasting the more rigid negotiation stance of NSCN-R. The inclusion of another subgroup within its fold allows NNPGs to emphasize diversity of representation and evolving leadership patterns, attributes that appeal to younger groups. This press release also indirectly addresses another emerging issue: the geopolitical repositioning of Naga interests in relation to Myanmar's evolving armed groups. With the intensifying conflict in northern Myanmar and the restructuring of Kuki, Naga, and other ethnic armed organizations across the border, the NNPGs fear that any instability on the Indian side could push young cadres or disillusioned members to seek influence or opportunities across the border. The Working Committee's emphasis on coordination, unity, and adherence to principles may therefore be a preventive measure against cross-border fluidity. It signals that the NNPGs intend to keep their house in order to avoid losing control over their younger members at a time when armed movements across the Indo-Myanmar frontier are shifting rapidly. The tone of the document also suggests a concern over public perception. Over the last year, Nagaland's urban and semi-urban populations have become more vocal on issues of transparency, peace negotiations, and the need for developmental stability. The announcement of new political entities can sometimes be misinterpreted as a return to old patterns of fragmentation. The Working Committee appears aware of this risk, hence the framing of the decision as part of a smooth functioning process rather than an outcome of conflict. The press release strategically avoids any emotional language, sticking to purely bureaucratic phrasing that conveys rational decision-making. Considering the current political climate, It is likely that NNPGs will follow up this declaration with concrete action in the coming months. Early indicators suggest several possibilities. First, the Working Committee may attempt to create a formalized mechanism to monitor adherence to its principles, something akin to an internal committee or disciplinary oversight body. This would help ensure that each of its constituent groups follows the decisions made collectively, reducing the chances of unsanctioned taxation or unapproved engagements with political agents. Second, the NNPGs may increase outreach to tribal bodies, civil society organizations, women's councils, and student unions across Nagaland to reinforce this message of unity and coordination. Already, groups like the Naga Hoho and Eastern Nagaland People's Organization, EMPO, have been expressing concerns about political uncertainty. By presenting a stable image, NNPGs may be trying to re-establish confidence among these important stakeholders. Third, the Working Committee may privately re-engage the Government of India to push for reopening of settlement dialogues. The new entity under K. Michael may be assigned specific tasks such as local-level coordination in preparation for any future structured interaction. This is especially likely given reports that the Ministry of Home Affairs is planning regional-level reviews of ceasefire compliance before the next fiscal budget cycle. The declaration also expands the leadership visibility of individuals involved. With signatures from conveners and co-conveners representing different factions, the document visually reinforces that authority is not centralized in a single figure, but shared among multiple leaders. This collective leadership model helps prevent internal power struggles and distributes responsibility across several hands, a useful strategy when navigating a politically sensitive environment. It also acts as a deterrent against external actors attempting to exploit internal vulnerabilities. Another layer of interpretation concerns the wider Northeast region. Changes within NNPGs can have ripple effects in Manipur, where Naga groups often ally or compete with Kuki, Meitei, and Zalengam political interests. A newly recognized NNPG entity could influence local administrative dynamics in Naga-majority areas like Ukhrul, Senapati, or Tamenglong, especially as these regions continue to negotiate their relationship with both the Manipur government and the central authorities. The clearer the structure within Nagaland's NNPGs, the easier it becomes for Naga political actors in Manipur to align themselves or maintain distance based on strategic benefit. Looking ahead, one of the most important outcomes of this declaration might be its effect on recruitment patterns. Stability within an organization generally strengthens its ability to retain members and attract new ones. Conversely, fragmentation often triggers defections. With the NNPGs projecting stability and consolidation, they may indirectly counter potential recruitment by rival groups who capitalize on organizational disorder. This is particularly crucial at a time when the larger geopolitical environment, marked by conflict in Myanmar, heightened militarization in the Assam-Nagaland border region, and socio-economic uncertainty, makes youth more vulnerable to recruitment narratives. In the near future, one should expect the NNPGs to increase public communication. More press releases, joint statements, and explanatory notes may come. Each will likely be crafted to reinforce the narrative of unity, discipline, and forward movement. The Working Committee understands that silence leaves room for speculation, and speculation, especially in the Northeast, is often amplified rapidly through social media and informal networks. Therefore, communication becomes a strategic asset. If this declaration succeeds in stabilizing relations between NSCN-R, Akato, and the newly recognized NSCN-GPRN K Michael, the NNPGs may become better positioned to negotiate a more assertive role in the peace process. However, if internal agreements begin to unravel, it could push the region into yet another round of factional tensions. Given the complexity of the landscape, the next 3 to 6 months will be crucial in determining whether this declaration becomes a stepping stone toward better unity or a temporary patch over deeper disagreements. Overall, the press release reflects a strategic moment, a calculated attempt by the Working Committee to consolidate its internal structure, increase its bargaining power, and present itself as the stable face of Naga political aspirations at a time of regional uncertainty. It is a reminder that even short, formal declarations can carry significant long-term implications. Sources consulted: latest civil society statements from Nagaland Business Associations, NOV, DEC 2025, press briefings of Nagaland government and local MLAs, informal reports shared by regional correspondents in Dimapur and Kohima, statements from NSCN-R released between October-December 2025, ceasefire ground rules CFGR, monitoring updates by security agencies, community-level reports from Tuensang, Zanhiboto, Waka and Dimapur forums, Manipur Hill District political updates as published in regional outlets. Disclaimer: Zalengam Media. This analysis is prepared purely for educational and information purposes. It does not endorse any political faction, ideology, or leadership. Interpretations are based on publicly available information and field-level reporting patterns. Call to viewers. For more in-depth reports, documentary insights, Northeast conflict analysis, and verified updates, subscribe and follow Zalengam Media on all social media platforms.